All right, let's jump right in. Today we're looking at an organization called T.E.A. That stands for Teach, Empower, Achieve. And they are tackling this really vicious cycle of poverty in Detroit. But their whole solution, it actually started with just a simple conversation. It's a story that's every bit as powerful as the incredible work they do today.
You know, this quote from Martin Luther King Jr. really just captures the entire spirit of TEA's philosophy. It's not about just having good intentions. It's about that moral urgency to actually do something. It's this simple, powerful idea that drives everything for them. When you see something that's wrong, the time to start fixing it is always, always right now.
So what is the problem TEA is trying to solve? Well, it's not just one thing. It's this deeply tangled, interconnected crisis. You can think of it as a trilemma for women in Detroit. The combined weight of housing insecurity, domestic violence, and unemployment all at once.
Okay, so it all really starts with having a place to live. And look, research from the University of Michigan just confirms what we all kind of feel in our gut. Stable housing isn't some luxury. It is the absolute bedrock of a stable life. Without it, everything else, a kid's education, an adult's job, even your physical health, it all just starts to crumble. And if you want to understand the sheer scale of this problem, just look at this number, 2,890. What is that? That was the estimated number of women who are homeless in Detroit in just 1 year. This isn't just a statistic, it's a massive human crisis. So who is really bearing the brunt of this? This chart makes it painfully clear. Of all the adults in homeless families in Detroit, a staggering 80% are women. This is not an equal opportunity crisis. It's one that falls overwhelmingly on them. And right here, this is the second piece of that trilemma. You have to ask, why are so many women facing this? For so many, it is a direct result of fleeing domestic violence. I mean, think about that choice. Leaving an unsafe home often means having no home at all. And that just adds this whole other layer of trauma that makes finding a path forward even harder.
So when you're faced with a problem this massive, this tangled, where do you even begin to find a solution? Well, it turns out the answer wasn't in some big corporate boardroom or a government office. It started with one person, a simple observation, and just talking. This is Amy Peterson, and her story is pretty amazing. While she was working as a lawyer for the Detroit Tigers, she happened to live right next to a shelter. But instead of just looking the other way, she started talking to the women there, actually listening to their stories. She wanted to figure out how she could genuinely help.
What I find so fascinating here is the evolution of the idea. Amy's first thought was brilliant: create jobs. So she started Rebel Nell, a company where women made jewelry from fallen graffiti. And it worked. But as the business took off, a new challenge popped up. How could they be a growing retail business and provide the deep personal support these women needed? That's when the second brilliant idea hit: create a totally separate nonprofit, TEA, to focus only on the mission.
So this is the light bulb moment, right? They realized that selling jewelry and providing intensive wraparound social services, those are two different full-time jobs. Rebel Nell could be the employer, but they needed another organization to tackle all the complex barriers these women were facing outside of the workplace. And that is exactly why TAS was born.
So that's the origin story. Pretty incredible. But what does TEA actually do? How does their model work to break this cycle of poverty for good? Okay, let's take a look. Their whole strategy really rests on these 4 pillars. See, it's not just about finding someone a job and calling it a day. It's about personal development, job placement, financial wellness, and they even help women who have that entrepreneurial spark. It's a complete, holistic approach designed for long-term success. And here's what that support looks like in the real world. We're talking one-on-one coaching, paying for job certifications, and even providing direct financial help for things like car repairs or rent, the stuff that can completely derail a person's progress. They also build partnerships with employers who really get it. So, a 4-pillar model, wraparound support, it all sounds really impressive. But the big question is always, does it actually work? Well, let's look at the proof, both in the numbers and, more importantly, in the actual human lives that have been totally transformed. So just take a look at their impact in 2024 alone. I mean, we're not even through the year. They've already served 38 women. And get this, those women have generated over $88,000 in income. And they've earned 63 professional certifications. These are not just bars on a chart. This represents real progress, real stability, and real hope. Let's put a face to that data. This is Adrienne Fowler. After struggling for months to find work, TEA helped her completely revamp her resume and practice for interviews. And the result? Not one job offer, multiple job offers.
She's now in a great role with a real future, regaining her confidence and her independence.
Or meet T.E.A. Harris. For her, the big barrier was transportation. When her car broke down, T.E.A. just stepped in and covered the repairs. That one simple act allowed her to get a job that now supports her family, while she goes after her dream of getting a degree in social work. It's just a perfect illustration of how removing one small barrier can unlock an entire future.
And this quote from Azzy Caldwell, man, it just says it all. T.E.A. offered me the chance to catch my breath. Sometimes that's what people need more than anything. Just a second to breathe, to get stable, and to have someone in their corner while they figure things out. That is the space T.E.A. creates. So when you put all these pieces together, the data, the stories, the model, you start to see that T.E.A. isn't just another nonprofit. It is a targeted, proven, and scalable solution that was built specifically to solve Detroit's unique challenges.
The key here is that T.E.A. operates right at the center of that trilemma we talked about: housing, domestic violence, and unemployment. They perfected their methods with Rebel Nell, and now they're scaling that success by partnering with other businesses to create even more pathways out of poverty. It's brilliant.
And you can see here just how direct that line is between support and impact. A donation isn't just some abstract number. It translates directly into real, tangible resources, like mentorship and paid training, that empower a woman to build a new self-sufficient life for herself and for her family.
So in the end, it really all comes down to this powerful question. Yeah, we can measure the income earned and the certifications gained, but the real return on this kind of investment is freedom. The freedom from instability, the freedom from fear, the freedom from poverty. So you have to ask yourself, what is the value of that? That's a return on investment that is truly priceless.